I like Bluster.
I like
All right,
Blockbuster
let's
too.
run with it then. Makes it
All right.
easy.
I could ask ChatGPT real quick.
No, fuck no.
Don't ask the
This
computers.
is an AI-free podcast.
As far as you know.
Yeah, that's.
Am I AI?
Are you guys ready?
Yeah. Let's take us away.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Bluster, where three dudes talk about movies. I guess the premise is each of us chose a movie that the other two have to watch. We watched all three of them, and now we're getting together and talking about them. This week, we had the stipulation that the other two couldn't have seen the movie that we recommended.
Quick question: did y'all actually watch the movie that you recommended?
Wait, can I interject? Should we introduce ourselves too?
Oh yeah, we should introduce ourselves. My name is Ben. Should we say last names? Are we gonna get doxxed?
No, let's not dox ourselves. I'm Mitch.
I'm Jack Ryder. No, I'm Lucas.
Great. God, I'll be honest. I ate some extremely spicy food for lunch, and it's not sitting well. Lucas is incapacitated right now. Looks like he's talking to his dog.
No, talking to Robbie.
Told him to get the fuck out.
Robbie could join us.
No.
Did he not watch any of the movies?
I mean, he actually saw Saltburn and has feelings.
I feel like everybody has feelings about Saltburn.
Yeah, for good or bad. Like, it's a very seen film, like a heavily watched film. I mean, I will say before we get into it too much that I was thinking about it a lot after watching it. So since we're on the topic of Saltburn, why don't we have Lucas tell us a little bit about it for those in the audience who haven't heard of Saltburn, don't know what's up with the tub. Give us the rub with the tub.
I couldn't have asked for a better intro. So, the movie that I chose for these boys to watch is Saltburn. Spoiler alert if you have not seen it. It involves Barry Cogan.
I think spoilers are kind of implied.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair. But he is a student at Oxford, lower class, and he ends up becoming very infatuated with this guy Felix, who's played by Jacob Elordi. Ends up getting very involved with him, his life, a life of nobility, during an era when nobility means not much besides title and money, and his obsession with Jacob and their wealth and their status becomes sort of a poison, and he takes them for everything they're worth, and he has a good time while he does it.
Excellent. Yeah.
Ben, do you want to tell us both your initial take, your hottest,
my
fresh out the oven? You watched it last night.
Any take of Saltburn is going to be hot. Okay. Well, all right. I have some pretty negative feelings about this movie. I didn't really like it that much.
I thought that's what was going to happen.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think I'd give it?
Like a 4.
I think you'd give it a 4, and you would say that it's just pretty shot and it has a lot of good music, but movies are more than that.
Well, you're both correct. I did give it a 4. Here's my just summarized take of Saltburn. It's very frustrating because basically throughout the entire first and second act of the movie, they take a lot of time to raise a lot of interesting questions that are all completely invalidated once you realize that the main character is just a fucking serial killer. It ruins everything. Like, to give you an example, that one scene where the what's his face, the fucking Felix guy, the rich prick, he has this familial tradition where him and his family, whenever somebody dies within their family, will write their name on a rock. They'll take that rock and throw it in the river. And he does that at the beginning of the movie with the main character, whose name is Ollie, as a way to incorporate him into his life and expose him to his family's traditions. Later on, you are told that Ollie lied about his father's death which is why they threw the rock in the river in the first place. And then even later on in the movie, Felix dies, and Ollie's forced to watch this ritual take place for Felix. And you as the viewer are watching this thinking, oh, he's finally exposed to the emotional weight of the thing that he lied about. And that's really engaging and interesting until you realize, oh, it just fell on deaf ears. Nobody actually learned anything. He was literally just there to fuck and kill.
I will say with the stones, you do notice when he's throwing the stone, casting the stone for his father, the stone doesn't actually land in the river, which is foreshadowing to the fact that his father is not actually dead. That none of that story is true. And at the very end scene, when he's kind of dancing in his victory, he did pull up each of the rocks of the people the family that he essentially murdered off one by one, to kind of keep with him, close to him, because he's not going to let them go.
Yeah, that to me, that's just indicative of him being a psychopathic piece of shit. That's not like any character revelation.
So I did not love Saltburn. I thought it was okay. I would say I had an enjoyable watching experience. But my main problem is that Oliver's motives are unclear. The misdirection in the first and second act makes his targeting of Felix feel impulsive rather than calculated when you think about it in retrospect. And so the reveal felt pretty telegraphed, and it felt more interested in the twists and turns than actually telling a compelling story, a coherent story, or developing the characters. Because like where Ollie begins and where Ollie ends, if you have that reveal at the end, like Ollie didn't really change as a character, except maybe he's a more confident serial killer where he was
a more
quiet
confident and competent serial killer. He got good at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's my problem with it, is really it was entertaining, but the second and third act, like it both metaphorically and literally buried its dick in the dirt.
To some degree, I disagree with you because I think they make his motivations pretty clear, and that they're okay, so there's a way you could look at the movie that his motivations are symbolic, right? Symbolic for something, either class or sexuality or identity or something like that. And I think all those are really interesting, but again, completely invalidated once you find out that he's just a fucking serial killer. But you're told that he's a psychopathic serial killer who basically doesn't feel anything because he lied about his dad being dead, and when he goes and visits them with Felix, he like tears his hand away from his mom. He doesn't want to be around them. He's clearly got some mental issues. He's clearly not a good person, right? I see you nodding your head.
Yeah. He is. No, I don't think he's a good person. And I personally love stories where there's nobody that is exclusively good or evil. Like people are complicated and fucked up and do weird things.
But that's the thing. Ollie isn't complicated, and that's my problem with it. Ollie is just like fucking everything that moves and stabbing people when they become inconvenient to him. He is so unrelatable that why he's doing the things he's doing doesn't matter. And since the whole first 2/3 of the movie are based having you guess why he's doing this and also why their family of Felix is so weird, it all falls flat at the end.
I think for me, the story has like two things that I love about it, and like these are the reasons why I chose it, and for me why I feel like it says something fun. I do like taking a look at it through a class lens of this is somebody that is wanting, like essentially this is a product of capitalism. This is somebody who wants a good life that capitalism promises and sells, and will do anything that they can do to get it. That he is obsessed with what is presented as the penultimate place of status, of wealth, and is obsessed with what that means, and seeks to take it regardless of how.
as a response to that specifically, because I agree that that was presented, but I don't think it was comprehensive. I don't think it's comprehensive enough to use that as an example of a product of the narrative, because Ollie has some sort of allure towards Felix, be it, what's it called? Be it manufactured or real. It doesn't matter. He's clearly attracted to him. But the reasons why he gives and the reasons why the movie gives that he's attracted to him aren't material necessarily.
For sure. I think that's the other avenue that I love about this movie. There's something that is
But before we get into that other avenue that you're talking about, how do you reckon that with the original one, that there is some sort of like material difference between, because Ollie went to Oxford University. Ollie is smart, he's capable, he has a good family that clearly has money to send him off to Oxford and own a nice little home. They're not absurdly rich, but I mean he's well off. So where does the class, I don't think his class divide, his class consciousness is it doesn't make any fucking sense.
I mean, I get what you mean. He's not like coming from the bottom of the barrel. This isn't like the poorest
He's coming
of the
all
poor.
over the bottom of the barrel.
Exactly. This is the product. This is the product of capitalism. He is in what most people would feel like is a great home, providing family, but it's still not what is presented as the ideal. Having that lineage of nobility, having the immense wealth, and there's that desire for that. But then there is this true obsession with Felix. There is this one. He is trying to get his attention and be this fleeting person. He understands that Felix likes the attention of somebody clinging on to them, but he is, in a sense, jealous of Felix, wants to be Felix, and there's almost this like quintessential queer experience of like, do I love this person? Do I just want to be them? And it's this like obsession that just becomes too much and crazy. It's not healthy. It's not good. But
I heard
it
that
is
in a ContraPoints video, video by Mother.
Here's my thing though, is like, it's so like trite. Like if this is what the film wants to say about class consciousness, it's just so it's wide and an inch deep. Like there's nothing like interesting. The film isn't saying anything interesting. Like Ollie he envies Felix. He wants to be him. He wants to be with him. He wants his money. He wants his wealth. But it's kind of just yes and for me, where I'm like, okay, but what are we trying to say here? Are we just trying to say that we all envy the upper crust, that we hate them and we want to be them, we want to kill them too? I just don't think it's a particularly interesting approach to class consciousness, and it's not very developed. I think it's super undercooked. Like the chicken is pink in the middle on this one for me.
I get what you're saying.
I think the best example in the movie of when they address the idea of class consciousness, at least overtly.
Ben, you're quiet as hell now, just so you know.
Fuck. Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Hold on, technical difficulties. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. I think the most the time that class consciousness is addressed the most overtly in the movie is during that scene where Ollie's singing karaoke. And the lyrics of the song are like, "Oh, I pay your rent, I own you," that kind of shit. And he's having a hard time singing that out loud because he doesn't like that feeling, that identity. He doesn't like admitting to himself that he's subservient to this surrogate for the royal family, right? And then when that other friend, the cousin guy, who's basically in the same class position that he is, gives him shit for it, he turns to him and says, "You're also in this position as well." And that makes me think that there's something more elaborate that I'm missing. I'm sure there's other point, because there's lots of interesting symbolism in the movie. It isn't, directed at the things that I think they should be directed at.
Okay, so the way that I take it is like, it is not this class conscious, like, oh, this is so like this is like, people rising up against the rich. I think that this is like more a display of where we're at now, where it's like, I'm sorry, but the rich have won, and the most that they can hope for is not class consciousness, is not rising up, is to replace the rich and become the rich. It is a depressing state of where we are.
But I just
I
don't
don't
think
think the
that
film's that smart. That's just where I'm at. I just don't think it's that clever.
I
But
think it's a
I
glorified
mean,
monster movie.
yeah, I mean that's I think at face value, like for me, it's a romp. Like it's supposed to be like sick, twisted fun. And if that's its aim, that it succeeds at that. Like I had a fun, like whatever what the runtime was, like 100 40 minutes
It's
or
2
whatever.
hours.
It's
Yeah,
2
it's 2
hours.
hours.
Yeah. Yeah, like I had that, but like trying to, there were parts I liked about it. I think goodness, hold on, I have the IMDb up.
That spicy chicken I ate is doing horrible things to my guts right now, boys.
Oh no.
I think Emerald Fennell has like a really nice eye for like using the subtle pieces of film to try and say something, or callbacks and Easter eggs. I think all those things are there and make it an enjoyable watch on that too. But I think, like Ben said, the payoffs aren't like quite there for me, and the symbolism sort
It's
of falls
mostly
flat.
it's mostly a scripting issue because the directing, like there's a lot of really good imagery in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Like when Ollie walks into the building and you see the flypaper in the chandelier, that image stuck with me for the rest of the movie, and I was interpreting everything through that lens. And that clues you into like, oh, this is a monster movie. But like, who's the monster? Is Ollie the fly on the paper, or are the flies on the like? And then you also have this cool image of like something disgusting against something beautiful and opulent, which is a very common theme throughout a visual motif is filth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of disgusting shit in this movie, and it's presented in like a sacred way, like the characters indulge in this filth as a ritual.
I agree that it's like, I don't know. I think it's beautifully shot. I think it does a great job with like pacing and imagery. I can understand where you see it like doesn't pay off. It falls flat. And I do tend to attribute a lot of meaning to things that might not have meaning that's there, or I can elaborate a bit. But like, I don't know. I just had a fun time, and I think a common thing that I've heard from people that have watched it, and that happened to me, is like for days after watching it, I was thinking about it, and that was fun. I enjoyed.
I was thinking about how frustrated I was with it.
I think I enjoyed both aspects of the aftermath, so to speak, like the frustration with the film that it maybe could have been, and sort of thinking about the romp that it was for me. Yeah, I think the last reveal, like I think the Ollie's dad is alive, he's a liar reveal executes a lot of what the writer director is trying to achieve, but the final reveal is so Ocean's 12 for me, where it like flashback, it felt like so kooky and lame to have the flash. It's like, oh, he's putting the tack in the tire.
Yeah.
Oh, he really had the money at the bar. Like
Oh.
I was 3 steps ahead this whole time. Like I wasn't writing anything in that coffee shop. I was waiting for her there. I knew she would be there. It just felt so.
Yeah, and for what? For what? So he could fuck and kill? Like, come on.
So that, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was trying to highlight the obsession, the dedication that it took to pull this off. But I see what you're saying.
The pull what off? Like what plan? Like, did he know about Saltburn and he just wanted to kill them all so he could live there, or was he trying to get with Felix? Like, what the fuck? It doesn't make any sense.
To be a part of that life, and when he knew he couldn't be a part of that life, then he took that life from them.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's a note I wrote. That scene of the grief in the dining room is brilliant. Do you remember that
Oh
scene
yeah,
where
the red
they?
one.
Yes, yeah. I thought when they pulled the red drapes and it was very difficult to watch because red light is very harsh on the eyes, and but I really love that scene because it characterized people that needed to be characterized, like the mother and the father, who were basically useless up until that point. And it was tense and uncomfortable, which is the movie's MO. And then I wrote, and it's narratively significant in the sense that Ollie now has to live the trauma he lied to Felix about, similar to the rock scene. And this was before I learned that he's just gonna fucking kill everyone. He's just gonna fucking kill everyone, and then it's not gonna matter. And to respond to Mitch's point about it being a romp, I love the idea of it being a romp. I don't think it works as one because it's too fucking boring. There's too there's too many scenes where the characters are talking about shit that just doesn't fucking matter, and it's like it goes on for too long, and it exists to like create intrigue about the characters. It's actually pretty smart. There's a lot of detailed dialogue going on, but it isn't in service of anything. So it's much like Ollie. It's a movie in an identity crisis. It needed to choose whether or not I wanted to just go full balls to the wall slasher sort of flick, subversive slasher flick, or if it wanted to say something important. In my opinion, I assume everybody listening, all two of them, know that these are all our opinions.
No, yeah,
I'd like to invest in that take. I'll be buying shares of that take. Personally, I think I see that moving up in the market. But
do y'all have other notes you want to go over? I have some notes I'd like to.
I don't have
I have
much
one
else.
question.
Okay, before we get to your question, we'll close out on your question. There's just a couple other things I wrote down that I just want to say. Barry Keoghan is hung. I said that earlier, but Lucas sort of disagreed. Is his cock not huge?
He's also a small man, so scale matters.
Fuck! I didn't think about that.
I'm not sure about if it was a prosthetic or not. So
I heard it was legit. I heard legit. The sources say it's legit.
That's why we love Barry Keoghan.
Keoghan?
Isn't it Keoghan?
I don't know. I didn't look it up. I should have looked it up.
Keoghan. I don't know.
Keoghan. Sorry, apologies, Barry Keoghan.
No. Quick on the spot Google search. Hold on. We're gonna figure this out together on stream.
Keoghan.
I think
Keoghan?
Yeah, Keoghan.
Barry Keoghan. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very competently made movie. I really enjoyed the direction. I loved a lot of the choices. I just think it's in service of a bad script.
Yeah, fair.
All right, what's your question, baby?
Take us away.
This is not a really good question to end it on, but here we are. I am curious. I've heard a lot of critiques about Saltburn. Some I agree with, some that I don't. Before, like today, and I'm curious what you guys think about this critique because I feel like it does a disservice. But that essentially Saltburn is just a revamped, talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah.
I've never seen the talented Mr. Ripley, so I can't pass judgment.
Yeah, I literally watched Talented Mr. Ripley after this because I'd seen some of those takes and I was like, all right, I've never seen the comparison. And I watched it and I was like, oh, damn, this is kind of just better. Like, than Saltburn.
It's not better. Folks. It's not better. I'm sorry.
It is. I'm sorry.
It's not better.
Oh, it has Matt Damon in it. And he's hot.
Yeah, but it's all hetero.
Oh, man.
It was made in the 90s.
It's not.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not. Actually, there's still very much that queer obsession with Mr. Ripley and being obsessed with his
spoil
status.
it, bro.
It's also based on a book from 1955. So it was
Saltburn?
I no, Talented Mr. Ripley. I mean, I have opinions about that, but that's for a different pod perhaps later down the road, I think, because I do think after watching them back to back like that, I was like,
damn.
Yeah.
Well,
I see the comparison.
to end it, I will say I do not think that I am like qualified to talk about movies in such a way that they deserve to be discussed in. But oh my god, just like the intro title, the way that things were shot, the colors, the fucking acting, the tense anxiety, the fucking nasty ass sexy bathwater. It was so much fun. I had a great time. And I appreciate y'all watching this.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
I'm
Yeah, I
glad
mean,
that
I think
I'm
it's
glad you
fine.
suggested it.
I think it's fine that I think we're all at different places in film analysis, like wherever, I think it's good to have a varied. You have Ben, who's an absolute contrarian, went to film school, and then
Don't
there's
tell
me,
them that. I didn't go to film school. He's lying.
and then there's me and Lucas, who are somewhere in the realm of fans of film, perhaps, but maybe not drenched in the yolk of the
Yeah.
Drenched in
filmmaker.
the cummy bathwater.
But my
Yeah.
feelings are more valid.
Yeah, I mean,
What was the purpose of him jacking off the cousin?
I think all those scenes are supposed to be about power in some, like whenever he's interacting with someone, not to bring us deep back into the Saltburn stuff, but I mean, every sort of like quote unquote sex scene that is in the film is a power dynamic. When he gets on top of the cousin and kind of just has his way with him, let's say. That's all about power. And then the same thing, like he views the sister as an object, a pretty thing as well, like how everyone else in the family treats her. He's like, that's how I'm going to treat her too. There's no heart there. He just wants to feel powerful. He wants to feel in charge and powerful over someone.
Well, okay. The way I see it is like the person who was the like family friend. What was her name? Like Pamela or whatever.
Pamela, yeah.
These rich people have their toys that they play with. So Barry is trying to be each person's perfect toy to keep him around. He doesn't want them to think of Barry as the nobody, the person who's lucky to be there. He wants to think of them as their favorite toy, so that they each buy for him. And I think that that's what those interactions were about. Yes, also about power, about control and domination, but more so also I think about like making sure that he's sticking around.
Making sure that he's servicing everybody well enough to.
Hey.
And then when they don't, he just kills them. He's. I just realized that Pamela's official name in the cast credits is "Poor Dear Pamela."
Oh dear Pamela. Oh yeah, and then just a round of applause for the person who plays Elspeth, so Rosamund Pike.
Oh, Rosamund Pike.
Amazing, amazing performance. Just like
she's great.
Okay.
Wow.
Before we move on, I have to blast piss out of my urethra. I will return.
I guess I'll also do that as an opportunity.
Okay. Now that we're back, how do we want to maneuver to the next one?
Okay. Okay.
Unless if you're okay with bringing up the rear.
Absolutely.
For my film, I chose Straight Up, which is indie from 2019. It stars James Sweeney and Kate Findlay. Sweeney also wrote and directed the film. So here's a quick synopsis that I stole from Amazon. Todd is a hyper-articulate gay 20-something who fears dying alone leads him to the baffling conclusion he might not be gay after all. When he meets Rory, a whip-smart actress, the two forge a relationship that's all talk and no sex.
They don't fuck, ladies and gents.
So, gentlemen, what are your feelings on Straight Up?
Straight Up, an hour and 30 minutes long. Lucas, you wanna start us off on this one?
Sure. Okay.
I'm curious to hear your opinions on it.
Wow, just because I'm gay. It was gay conversion therapy. No.
Well, I wasn't gonna fucking out you on our podcast.
Right. No, No, okay. So I think that this movie was first off, I think it was set up very well with the therapist talking about how the main character is going into all of these tangents, and then the main character says yes, and you're supposed to make sense of it all. I feel like that's very much what this movie was. Um, the conversation pattern is very tangential. It is fast. It's a lot. It felt a lot to me. um,
What felt a lot?
the conversation pattern, like I forget.
And
They
when
were
you say a
talking.
lot, was it kind of like, what are you saying? That it's like difficult to parse?
It was just like, come on. Like during the white, they were talking about the white elephant, or in the white elephant scene. Um, she was trying to explain like we should talk about the elephant in the room here, and they go off on that reference, and it felt like this tangent for like 20 minutes. And I get it, they don't want to talk about the elephant in the room, that's why they're avoiding it by talking about anything else um but I don't know, I think at times for me it felt a little grating.
The characters felt grating.
The what?
The characters felt grating, like how they talk.
Just the talking, yeah,
The
the way that
dialogue.
the dialogue, thank you,
Which
the way that
is
the
a bit of a
dialogue was structured.
condemnation, because for the viewers at home, the dialogue takes up about 90% of the movie. It's
It
a
was a
very,
lot.
very dialogue heavy movie.
Yes, yeah. There was not a lot of space for breath, so I think that added to the feeling of like grading of the dialogue. Uh,
It's dialogue for generally like pretty smart people, though. I'm just
Yeah,
joking.
you have to have a certain
I'm
IQ
just
to
joking.
enjoy straight up.
That's a dumb take. I just had to make the joke, but it's
yeah,
not. It's I think it's supposed to be pretentious, but that's part. Yeah, I'll let you guys continue. I apologize.
no, you're good. You're good. By no means am I saying that like that is my determination of the movie. That just was something that was very difficult for me to get past. I think it was really good, and I don't know, this movie was hard for me because I think there was a lot of representation that was shown, and I think that there was a lot done, but like they tried to do a lot, and there wasn't because of trying to do a lot. There were a lot of things that got left behind. Sorry, I'm trying to look up my notes. Oh, and I think the biggest thing for me is also this conversation about labels versus non-labels. For me, I like labels. I think they're helpful. I think that labels definitely can change and shift. But I think that was also a big hard thing for me. My sister is somebody who is not a big fan of labels. So I think that this is a show that she would truly enjoy. But I think that also aided to my trepidation with this movie. That's my initial take on it. Ben, what about you?
I basically agree with what you said. This is another 4 out of 10 for me, lads. You both gave me quads. My synopsis for it, I put it in like 2 sentences, 3 sentences. I can't fucking count. I said it's cute and harmless, but it's only harmless because it's toothless. It's reuses ideas constantly, and it's stretched so thin that you can fucking see through it. It's very amateur. The script's amateur, and all the filmmaking's amateur. That said, it is very funny. It's a very fucking funny movie.
It
I
is.
laughed a lot, and it's very witty. There's a lot of parts that if I had written, I would have been very proud of. But it's like it's like mainlining twee pop aesthetic into the dick on the top of your vein, or the vein.
Oh my.
What I meant was the vein on the top of your dick. I think oh man, I think so there's like one main problem I have with the script, and there's a whole bunch of little issues that I have with all of the filmmaking. The main issue I have with the script is that it has no plot. I don't want to say no plot. That's unfair. That's very unfair. It has a plot. It's just the plot is terrible. It's not good. There's like 2 events that happen, and they both revolve around the same idea, which is that they want to. Well, one of them wants to fuck, but they can't because one of them's gay and doesn't want to fuck. And that's basically your engine for the whole movie. And it doesn't really become anything more than that. It's just large swaths of people talking about how one of them wants to fuck and the other doesn't, and trying to lie to themselves about it. They had opportunities to talk about like what makes physical intimacy important, because if the two characters would just knuckle down and define for themselves what physical intimacy means and why they want it, then it starts raising some interesting questions that the movie could have addressed and made compelling. But really the only question the movie asks is what happens when somebody wants to be physically intimate and the other one doesn't.
I disagree with that. And FYI, I have a lot more. I just didn't know, like, I didn't want to take up an hour talking about it. And yeah, okay.
Well, we're here for forever, Lucas. We are not allowed to leave.
True. That is very true. I have a gun to my
Mitch
head.
has us under duress.
Yeah, we have each other's families.
Yeah. No, so I think it's not just about like, oh, some person wants to fuck, one person doesn't. I think it's about the exploration of what is a relationship. Like this thing that people put so much importance on within a relationship, physical intimacy. What does a relationship look like without it? Is that even possible? Does a relationship lose any value? Does it maintain its value? What is the importance of it?
And the answer to that is yes. Period.
No, I think that
yes, it is. It is answered when Rory says at the end of their relationship, I'm moving to Seattle and I don't want to remain in this relationship with you because I want simultaneous orgasms and I maybe potentially want to have a kid someday. And that's irreconcilable. They do love each other, but they can't love each other like that. And that is obvious.
But I think that in this relationship, okay, it's hard to talk about because labels aren't a thing and you don't know whether he is gay, is he bi, is he ace, is he gay and just hasn't found the right person to be around. But I'm going to go on a limb and say he's most likely ace and that he can continue on a relationship.
What is ace? Oh, asexual?
Yeah, asexual, sorry. Ace is asexual.
You gotta explain this for the cis white guys.
And so, a relationship without physical intimacy is possible. Now, his relationship that he's in with Rory, she specifically is somebody who does need physical intimacy. So yeah, the movie ends with them playing Scrabble with the third person, and it's kind of left up to is this a poly situation? Is this just a friend? Who knows? We don't know. But I think a relationship, this movie basically says the relationship is what you define it to be. It's what you guys explore and find that is most, beneficial to you both. Which is a beautiful thing. I like that a lot.
It is beautiful. It's a very nice movie, but at no point are we confronted with anything, I don't know, profound. I don't think it asks or answers any question that you've raised. I don't think it does. I mean,
I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Really? Oh, go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna.
Oh wait, no. Let Space Cowboy cook for a second.
That's fine.
I need to hear what you have to say, Lucas.
Okay. I think this is where my issue of the labels versus no labels happens. It feels like the movie is approaching representation for asexual people. It feels like at the end they have a little nod for representation towards poly people, but in the end it is this fully explorational kind of questioning thing that is not defined, which is fine. It's all good, but then I think that leaves it lacking that full representation. I feel like that is that feeling of it doesn't answer those questions.
Yes, but I will add something very quick to that, which is that it presents you with an example of something, and it expects you to define it
or be okay not defining it.
Yeah, it doesn't say it says things, but it doesn't address anything. If that makes sense. Mitch,
listening to your points. I'm soaking it in.
Are you writing stuff down?
No, I'm referencing my notes on the film,
Mm.
just thinking about what I want to talk about. So why I chose this movie is I think so first of all, it's Sweeney's first film, like writing, directing, starring, and I think perhaps a lot of the problems with it are a lack of experience, or like, a more experienced hand could have crafted what he's trying to say in sort of an autobiographical kind of way. Because clearly this is, I mean, maybe that's not fair, but it feels like it's part of his story. Um, and this is what he is figuring out. So that
Well, he
open-endedness,
said he was
maybe
playing a character.
the
James
director.
Sweeney, yeah.
Okay. Um, so why I chose this film is, to me, it's a film about intimacy that I found engaging because it explores a lot of different kinds of intimacy and like what intimacy means in relationships. So like first off, the 4:3 aspect ratio might seem like sort of like a purely aesthetic choice, but I think it also creates a bit of a claustrophobic element where there's a lot of symmetry in this film where characters are, when they're talking to each other, they're on one side and that side. And you notice like as Rory, the only time like two characters are really like in next to each other where there's that physical intimacy is when there's like Rory and Todd are entering each other's space. Like they're two people that are trying to figure out how to be intimate, both like with each other and just like as a broad concept. Because Todd has struggles with intimacy because he's ace. He doesn't like bodily fluids. It makes him uncomfortable. Like even talking about sex is something, or relationships makes him uncomfortable. So he's putting himself out there and trying to see what there is in this world for him when he finds Rory, who also struggles with intimacy because she's a survivor, implied survivor of sexual assault. And so you have these two people who don't know how to be intimate, finding a connection with each other and wanting to see what that means for them. And it means different things for each other. Um, Todd is figuring out that he can feel intimate, feel close with someone without sex being part of the equation. It's in this more idealized thing because he's happy because it's at the beginning and through to the second act, it's all going the way he would want it. He loves Rory. He loves everything about this relationship, and sex just makes things complicated and sticky and weird, which is all the things he doesn't like about intimacy. Whereas Rory is, by finding this person who is not interested in sex, where sex isn't part of the end goal, or a big part of the relationship, she has the space to unload, to heal, and really connect with someone, be close to someone without any pressure of the situation. And that changes for her, though. She goes from, I don't want kids, I don't want you to touch me, to these are the things that are important to me. These are the things that matter to me. I love you, but
I want
Todd,
to get eaten out.
yeah, I want simultaneous orgasms,
Yeah.
right? And so I think there's a lot of interesting things there. And as someone who has a little bit of experience like with ace people in my life and thinking about intimacy in these ways, like what are these boundaries? And I think there's just a lot of, maybe it isn't the perfect execution, but there's a lot of like beautiful moments in the film to me that like spoke to me, and which is why I chose it and why I really love this movie. Like I don't think it's the best movie. It's not something that I'm gonna throw on all the time, but it's something sentimental in a rom-com that I've never seen before. And I think that there's, you know, just because something's never been done before, hasn't been explored, doesn't make it inherently valuable. But at least to me, it was. And then the sort of like last thing I think I'll leave off is kind of coming back to Ben's point. I just think it's funny. Like it's genuinely a really funny movie. There's just a lot of laughs. Um, I think there's some other cute nods. Like one scene I really like is the dishwashing scene with him and his dad. He's like, you kind of get where his like OCD comes from, because if you notice, they have a kosher kitchen, so they have two dishwashers, but they're still washing their plates by hand, which I think is a really funny detail. Like there's this little bit of like, oh, is this learned or is it inherited? Because they're both sitting there like deep cleaning with brushes and everything. And I just think it's a cute detail that I noticed upon like I think this is probably like my third time watching this movie. Anyway, that's my spiel.
I mean, I could see how this would be personally relevant to a lot of people who are, trying to define intimacy for themselves.
Or exploring what their sexuality is, and being in that area of not knowing.
To be honest, I like your interpretation better than mine. I think it's more valid. I don't know. I feel like you picked up on more details than I did. I will say I still do think the filmmaking itself is shoddy, especially the editing. Yeah. The editing was awful. It was so bad. I think that might be a consequence of the directing, though. Oftentimes, problems in a movie aren't one person's fault, and I think James Sweeney got a little too carried away with making everything symmetrical, which sounds cool on paper, ends up kind of getting annoying after a while, similar with the dialogue, especially when you hand off the final frames to your editor and they only have 2 shots to fucking cut between. But that's not strictly the editor's fault, and I know it isn't, because there was one scene, I can't remember what it was. I'd have to go back through my notes, but I'm not going to do that. Where
that's for.
Exactly.
To ignore them.
There was a conversation between Rory and Todd, and it was cutting back and forth between a 1 shot of each, but it had established itself with a 2 shot, and it's like, bro, just cut to the 2 shot. Like, give us a break. I feel like we're ping-ponging back and forth constantly. Also, somebody decided to put a whoosh sound underneath the whip pans in that one scene where they have a bunch of whip pans. And it's like, who the fuck that would be a good idea. I thought it was awful. That was just my main critique of it. Oftentimes it just got annoying. And the script, I think, could have nailed the points that you're talking about, Mitch, if it was just a little bit better written. I think the lacking significant, juicy bits of plot, everything is handled by characters talking to each other. You have the scene where Rory and Todd talk after they first meet, and then they go to a party and they talk over the phone first, and then they go to a party and they talk to the people at the party, and then the people at the party talk about them. Then she goes into the bathroom and there's people talking about her, and they ask her to talk about Todd with them on the couch or the bed. And then really the only things that aren't resolved with like dialogue between characters or that progress the plot points that happen without dialogue. The only ones I can think of are the truth or dare sequence, the inexplicable truth or dare sequence, because do millennials actually play truth or dare like that at Christmas parties?
I have a lot to talk about for that party.
For the viewers at home, there's a scene where Rory and Todd visit, I think it's Todd's friend who's
Ryder, and I can't remember. Meg. Her character's name is Meg. I'm looking at the IMDb.
And then there's a gay couple there, Jason and Ryder, and one of them used to be in a relationship with Todd. Well, no. Todd sucked his dick. Todd sucked his dick briefly. And they're all hanging out for Christmas. They're sitting on the couch playing charades, and charades gets too boring. And then they're all self-described millennials decide to start playing Truth or Drink at the request of Meg, who's the only one I would believe that from. But why any of the other ones would agree to it doesn't make any sense to me.
What are your thoughts on the party, Lucas?
Something that I liked about the comedy in this and trying to depict the uncomfortability with physical intimacy that the main character had was the overplaying it of physical intimacy in every time that you had it. Like from when the Ryder was kissing the boyfriend in the very first party, not this one, but it was just like this over the top, like nah, 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 make out hello. to the parents making out and being like, ooh, hot stuff, he still got it, to this truth or dare, which went a little overboard where it was like, I dare you to take off your shirt. So he gets completely naked and starts jacking off under a pillow.
He starts jacking off.
It's hilarious, and I love how that, yeah, again, it shows like this is how the main character is feeling about sexual intimacy. It makes him feel uncomfortable. The second thing I wanted to say real quick was that I liked was how because they're taking care of like they're doing house sitting, the place that they are in is a very adult, like rich house that looks like they like, and this is when they are first starting to talk to each other and get to know each other, and it gives this feeling of like these people are like a married couple. They have been together for so long. You feel like it is their house, and I love how that depicts kind of how quickly they, how quickly they ended up falling for each other.
Connecting. Yeah.
Connecting. Thank you.
At one point, Rory mentions that it feels like they're playing house, and I thought that was a cool detail.
Now, okay, here's another big overarching critique. I do agree with you what you said, Mitch. Like this is this person's first film, and I think there was a lot. Like it had really good ideas, but it just kind of fell flat. So like one, to talk about the party, his friends, the girl and the gay guy Ryder, they're very one-dimensional characters. They did not have a lot of dimensionality to them. Like Ryder is upset with him saying, "You're not gay. You're not straight. You're gay. Why are you exploring this?" But for like no reason. And I feel like there could have been one, if Ryder was in love or infatuated with the main character and wanted to be like, hey, I want you to realize that you're gay. I love you. I want this. Like that could be a motivating factor of why he's pushing so hard. Or maybe this person has had a traumatic past with like religion, and so Ryder's trying to be like, hey, I don't want you going back into the closet, which is a very real thing of people being like, JK, I'm straight, I'm just going to settle down in this like lavender marriage, like a gay guy, a straight woman, or two gay man and woman. But like there could have been some motivating factor behind it, but instead Ryder just came off as like a dick.
I think that applies to everyone. I think every character in the movie is one-dimensional, especially when Rory and Todd are talking to each other. It sounds like one person talking to themselves.
I agree with that. Yeah, I also like Rory's character.
Rory's motivations are like immature, or her motivations. I guess that's a bad way of saying that. But if both of the characters were just upfront and like, this is what I want, like physically, or this is what I want intimately, or this is what I want in the relationship, their solution right off the bat is just to ignore it, is just to ignore the problem. And like, that's fine, but that's like 40 minutes into the movie. And also it's a movie about two adults. And it would have been a lot more interesting if they had that conversation. You could still have a story. It would just have to be a little bit different. And it wouldn't just be focused on these two people talking about why they should ignore all their problems.
For me, my critique on Rory, I feel like, I don't know, I get it. Like, I like the fact that they didn't make her sexual abuse her entire character, but I did feel like there was a part missing with like, so she cried when they first initially had sex, and that is assuming, trauma from sexual violence, which I appreciated seeing that because that has happened to me many times. And being able to explore that with somebody who you actually care with, how vulnerable of a state you're in. But then like, I felt like I had to assume the reason that she broke up was because now she is healing from trauma and able to desire and want to explore sexuality. But I feel like that wasn't really on screen as much. I just feel like, her end of things wasn't as fleshed out as the main characters. But that's just me.
Cool. I think my only thoughts are, I think Ryder's motivation, I think he is a dick, and I think he does reveal that a little, his motivations, when he sort of like corners Todd, and like basically says like, I don't like you. I don't like this game you're playing because it makes the world harder for other gay people who like aren't self-hating. I think he has this sort of thing where he thinks Todd hates himself for being gay in some way. I think that's like the only sort of tip of, or like revealing the hat, or revealing what Ryder's motivation for why he's such an asshole. But I mean, I don't disagree with y'all what y'all said. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a cute film. It touched me personally. I think it's funny. I think that some of the parts is maybe a lot greater for me than it is for you guys.
Yeah.
But thank you for watching it. I appreciate you guys taking the time.
Oh, you're welcome.
Give it a shot, because I mean, this is like a little indie that I've always had in my head, and always like, somebody has to watch this movie.
I do love myself in a twee indie film. You know me. Before we hit this nail on its head and talk about the misunderstood ginger stepchild, middle child that is falling down, I have to take a piss again. I have kidney problems. Just give me a second.
Jesus Christ.
Are you ready
Well,
for this?
I'm ready, I guess.
I
will
know.
say,
I don't even
Mitch,
think I have that much to say about this.
I don't have too much to say.
Oh,
either.
what the fuck? What, guys? Don't fucking talk until
We're
I'm
not
here.
going to talk about
We're not
it.
talking about it. We're just chatting.
It is also nice, like, a lot of queer representation does involve a lot of, like, over-sexualized representation, which, sometimes is good, sometimes is not. But it's nice to see queer representation outside of that.
Which, hey,
he's going in.
Getting it off is is your thing, We ain't out here to yuck yums, but not everyone's about yums, I guess.
Yeah, come on, Scrabble.
I fucking love to come.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
You're leaving now? You have all this time and you're leaving now? That's fucking believable. Oh.
Okay, I'm back. I needed this for this.
Needed what?
You needed a drink.
Oh.
Cold one. Needed a cold one for
this.
Wait, Lucas, what did you give straight up scale from 1 to 10?
Fuck. I rated it initially in my head on a scale from 1 to 5, so now I need to think about it.
Lucas were talking about 1 to 5.
God damn it. No, we're using the Fantano scale. Light to decent. What?
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I'm definitely not wearing the flannel.
Yeah, Saltburn is like dead down the center, like a 5 out of 10
You
for
both
me.
gave it. Oh, you gave it 5?
I give it a 4.
Okay.
Bro.
And then you gave straight up a 4. I'd give straight up. Like, I really want to give it a 6, but I'm giving it a 5. I think if a more experienced director, or if this director was able to tackle this later in their career when they have more experience, it could have turned out a little bit better.
Maybe you will. Maybe maybe Sweeney will come back with a film, a little further down the road that he's got more to say about it. Who knows?
Every time you say Sweeney, I think of Sydney Sweeney. Just saying.
Same. I think of Sweeney Todd.
Hey.
Yeah, that's more the connection I have. But
okay. So we're going to talk about Falling Down next. For those of you who, this is the movie I recommended to Lucas and Mitch. Falling Down, for those of you that don't know, is a 1993 movie directed by Joel Schumacher and written by Ebro Smith. It follows a man named William Foster, who's played by Michael Douglas, who, after his sanity melts out of his ears while sitting in traffic during a heat wave, decides to ditch his vehicle on the LA interstate and start walking to his ex-wife's house to celebrate his daughter's birthday, much to her chagrin, since she has a restraining order against him. On the way, his self-preservation instincts degrade while his frustrations with society mount, causing him to act out in ways only someone with nothing left to lose would. This behavior catches the attention of Prendergast, a detective 1 day away from retirement, who tries to track him down. What in the fuck did y'all think about Falling Down?
it was okay. I can elaborate. It just, my raw thought on it is it was just fine. It was a movie. This one falls into a kind of a place I was in with Saltburn, where I was digging through, the film craft is there. There's a lot of clever things going on with the film craft, but man, is there just nothing this movie is saying for me. Like, it's just not touching anything for me emotionally. Like, uh, the protagonist or antagonist, I guess. He's truly the antagonist of this film. I don't know. White male rage is just so
William Foster?
boring. Hmm?
Are you referring to William Foster, the character
Bill,
played by
yeah.
Michael Douglas?
Bill, yeah. Bill's
Can you
white.
explain to the viewers why you referred to him as a protagonist and then said antagonist?
Well, I guess the film sets it up that way. Like, you're sort of meant to empathize with this guy just having a shitty day, right? And then as the film develops, you're like, oh man, this guy is kind of a bad dude, or he's one day away from being a bad dude. And kind of as you progress, you're like, oh, it turns out his wife is scared of him and thinks has a potential for violence. Oh, turns out like he has some questionable thoughts on minorities. There's just like so many moments where the film is about escalation, and it starts with him just getting a little too hot and a little pissed in a car, and ends up with him getting shot out in Venice Beach and falling to his, bullet-ridden body falling in the ocean. That's how do you escalate from a hot day in traffic to that. The pacing's pretty all right. The filmmaking is quite good in a lot of ways. There's a lot of clever things going on, but it just really rang hollow for me. Like specifics. For example, like his big thing when he's talking about with the gangsters who accost him as he's sitting down having an ice cold Coke, is that he's like, I'm respecting your territory. And it's like, I'm not trying to trespass. I'm just trying to move through, right? He thinks he's like, if you came in the back of my yard, I'd be upset too. I totally get that. So then by the end of the movie, he's trying to cut through the golf course, and there's a sign that says no trespassing. Symbolically, he no longer respects boundaries. He no longer cares if he's cutting through someone's backyard. Then he actually cuts through someone's backyard to even drive that point home even more. So that's clever and cute. But yeah, for me, the lesson, this sort of fixation on the American dream as imaginary, kind of just didn't do anything for me. But I'll let Lucas talk.
Okay. First, initially, I know we said do not go into it with any preconceived notions, but I did because I am a human. Okay.
No one said that. You can fucking do that all you want. I did that.
Fair. But no, I went into it thinking it was going to be like, yeah, an everyday man is having a rough time and he's being beaten down by the man. He's going to fight back into man. And very quickly, I was like, that is not what this movie is. That is not what this movie is at all. I also knew that there was going to be some racism in it. I'm sorry. Like, the 80s, 90s movies do not age well. If you ever watch not Breaking Bad, if you ever watch Die Hard, nowadays there's some things that you're like, oh, okay.
Well, would you not say the racism it's not celebrated? It's used.
Well, I think it is misplaced. Well, okay, I think it is prevalent. I think it is used intentionally. It's not just it's used intentionally to depict this character. But also it is like, I don't think it's getting what it's, I don't know. I don't know what the movie is trying to say. Because it's like, it's either trying to be like woke and like, oh, see, he is the bad guy. He is horrible. But I think it doesn't do a good enough job of that. And people are just like, yeah, he's fighting for the little man. Because, like, okay, the first scene with the Korean store owner, he's getting upset about the prices increasing. So he goes after the Korean store owner. Like, that is Trump's America. I am sorry. But they're like, oh, I'm being beaten down. Let me go after this poor person instead of the rich people who are fucking us over. It is like fighting the man without being class conscious at all.
Can I read you a quote from an interview with Ebro Smith, the person who wrote this movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody asked him, had D-Fens, which is the license plate of the main character's car and canonically what he's referred to throughout the movie, his name is William Foster. You find that out when Prendergast, the detective, shows up at his mother's house. Anyway, he's referred to as Defense. The person from therap.com who's interviewing Ebro Smith asks, had Defense not died at the end of the movie, do you think he would have voted for Trump in the last election? What do you think his answer is?
Obviously, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking
He says,
dumb?
yeah, I think so. I think that's a good bet. Yeah, I definitely think so. Which is why I think Defense's character is deliberately and overtly a dog shit person. And I don't think it's ever ambiguous that he's the antagonist.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from 0 to 60 pretty quick when he like holds up that store. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, so yeah, he's the bad guy.
The very first thing he does is say some racist shit.
He's like, are we the baddies? Yeah, like he is the baddie.
But nowadays, I feel like people would be like, heck yeah, that's a patriot.
You're absolutely right. A lot of people have fucking like weird opinions on to respond to what Mitch said. Mitch said that he becomes less relatable as the movie goes on. He becomes more racist, more misogynistic, creepier to his wife. But you can find people who understand the concept of like this renegade individual, this Tyler Durden-esque character who can like point out the issues in society accurately and then offer you an alternative form of living. There's people out there who can conceptualize that and yet still say, as the movie goes on, they relate more to Defense as a person. And one example I've heard given, when his wife tells the police officer about the restraining order, he asks her, did he ever hit you? And she said no. And he says, well, was he ever violent? And she says no. And that's supposed to be...
Well, she says yes initially. She says yes, well, no. She always felt he was capable of it, which is one of the lines I wrote down. Yeah, was that.
She's always felt he was capable of it. And for a lot of people, that's vindication. They take that as, oh, this character is misunderstood and isn't just a racist white piece of shit.
He's not a Nazi. He just killed a Nazi. He couldn't be a Nazi. He's an American.
Yes, that's another thing. People will talk about that Nazi scene as a defense for Defense. They'll say, so there's a scene in the movie where Defense goes down, visits a sporting goods store, which is run by an overt white supremacist who yells slurs at his customers and hears over the police radio that the main character, who he can identify via his clothing, is running from the cops and is on a rampage. And his decision is to hide him from a police officer and then invite him down to his basement later on so that he can offer him a bunch of weaponry to continue his rampage with, right? And a lot of people look at, to which Defense says, I'm not going to do that. I'm not like you at all, and tries to leave. And then the white supremacist ties him up and tries to Pulp Fiction him. A lot of people look at that scene and say, okay, I should say dipshits look at that scene and say, okay, this is a scene that absolves him of white supremacist ideals. He's not lashing out to society because of racism. He's doing it because of some other reason, right? What I think that is a display, an example of how fascism latches on to hateful ideologies wherever it can find them. Because fascism's an opportunistic mode of thinking. It's why there's a different form of fascism in every country. It molds to fit whatever it needs to in order to gain power. And like, Defense is openly racist. By today's standards, he's an overt racist. Even if he's not a fucking Nazi, he's still a racist piece of shit and is easily fed upon by someone like this neo-Nazi in the movie who literally gives him a rocket launcher, which he doesn't refuse, by the way. He takes the rocket launcher from the Nazi. He takes funding from Nazis.
So before we chop it up too much, I want to know, because we kind of cut straight to the discussion. I want to know why you picked this movie. Because for me, just like sitting there watching it, I was wondering, it's almost like a meta game of the pod where I'm like, why did Ben want us to watch this movie?
I
It's
think I know.
Oh, go for it.
Can I take a whack at
Absolutely,
it?
please.
I think part of it is I agree with you, Mitch, what you said earlier. Like it is really well shot. It is really well like thought out about how his how he is talking about how it shows the progression of his devolvement. Um, and also, it is a movie that makes you think it's challenging. Ben is a contrarian, and he wants you to fucking
I'm not a
think and be
contrarian. I resent that.
Yeah, that's what a contrarian would say. I don't know if that's all true. Ben, speak for yourself.
The reason I chose it for you guys is because I think Falling Down is a really misunderstood movie. And lots of people have lots of different opinions on it, especially depending on what their like political leanings tend to be. I think there's layers to it. I think Falling Down's like an ogre. you know?
Or
I
like
think
an onion.
exactly.
Donkey.
I think it's not a particularly well-made movie. The production design's really good. That's what Joel Schumacher kind of does best, is production design. He's not a very good cinematographer, and I think he's horrible at working with actors. Although folks who have worked with him say otherwise, it's kind of a mixed bag. That said, I think it was designed as a movie that's supposed to be give you a clear-cut question to talk about with the folks who you saw it with as you're walking out of the movie theater.
Yeah.
And the big question that it wants you to ask is, well, was this guy a bad person? Was he really a bad person? And the answer is yes, obviously, unless you're a fucking teenage boy and you're trying on identities, right? And you're mad at the world for how it's been treating you. Then you think defense is hot shit. But even the alternative of that, even folks who say that, oh, well, he is a bad person and that's the correct answer, are still missing something. Because I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think there is something to be said for the way society treats defense. Or I think a better way of saying that is defense is an allegory for society. Like, he's clearly a surrogate for the United States. And the movie clearly doesn't have a high opinion of the United States.
Okay, what does he go through? What is his struggle? Like, he is not a good partner in his relationship, so his wife doesn't want anything to do with him. He is upset because he's inconvenienced because it's hot and there's traffic. Oh, things are getting a little more expensive, but it's not meaningful things like housing. I know that the like convenience store probably was more about prices in general being expensive, but it's not about housing. It's not about food.
It is about those things, because you find out during the scene when Prendergast goes to his mother's house that he lost his job several months ago. So at the beginning of the movie, he's not driving to his job. He's just walking through the motions. He's commuting to work because he doesn't know what else to do. He lost his wife. The only identity he has is his job. And that's reflected in that one guy outside of the bank with the sign that says, I'm not economically viable. Yeah. He's wearing the exact same clothes as defense, the exact same clothes. And he's considered redundant by the system. I think that, like, I'm not excusing defense's behavior. I'm just saying that there are clear, like, society clearly failed him, right? He clearly has regrets about the way he treated his family, because when he sits down and watches those VHS tapes at the end, he clearly shows remorse. And then he goes and he fucking essentially sexually assaults his wife on the dock.
I don't know. I feel like because the movie poses the question, like the whole gimmick is, oh, is he or is he not the protagonist? Like, and yes, like, I don't know, because it posits it as a question, it opens it up to people being like, yeah, he is a good guy. I don't know, he is justified in his actions and in his rage against literally anything and everything because he made poor decisions and he got a little down on himself because he doesn't have a job.
So I think the film is about the American dream and how people react when the dream is crushed and questioned. And I think
or exposed to be fake.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean by crushed or
okay.
But yeah, it's about the American dream, and I think the like part is that the resolution of the cop, the detective, and him both at the end of both at a crossroads, like, and the cop is trying to say what's important in the film. He's saying, you have a daughter, like, that's like that, you do it for her, like everything you do is for her, and you fucked that up and you're scaring her. And I mean, if it's a meditation on that, if it's a meditation on creating an antagonist that looks like the world, it's not a very interesting one for me. The subject matter is it's very of its era in that the end feels like this very 90s answer to the question. And watching this film in 2025, it's not particularly interesting because the problem presented in this sort of optimistic answer at the end is still a problem a lot more than the film would make it out to be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the film has a very liberal attitude towards solutions. Its attitude is you should look within yourself to fix your problems, and doesn't contend with the social critiques, the systemic critiques that it establishes throughout the movie.
Just for the viewers at home, Ben means liberal in the classical sense, not in the way it's used today. That's an important distinction to make.
Unfortunately,
because you don't want to confuse people.
What's the other way? Wait.
Libs
Own the libs.
Oh, you mean like Democrats?
Yes, because that's the way people use it. We're not, but what Ben is referring to is liberty, liberal values like democracy, freedom of the press. These are liberal ideals, not.
But self-determination is the one that's important for this.
Yeah,
it's the one that's relevant to this.
Yeah, not like free healthcare and better school systems and racial justice.
Can I say that I think the fact that this movie posits the social critiques of like that the American dream has failed this person, but also couples it with this person who is impulsive, who lacks emotional intelligence, who can't get his breakfast because breakfast is over, so he throws a fucking hissy fit and like holds a whole damn restaurant hostage. It takes away from the analysis of the death of the American dream. Like, this is a man-child who doesn't know how to deal with it. There is a real conversation to be had about the death of the American dream.
He's very entitled.
The whole film's about entitlement, so like it makes sense that our antagonist who's being served up this crushed American dream, like wanting to live in the American dream that no longer is there. Like there's a bunch of symbolism in the film for the emptiness of the American dream. For example, his briefcase, like you learn that he's going to work and he has no work, he has no job, but he packs a briefcase. And when the gangsters come and try to take that from him, there's nothing of tangible value, but what exists in the case is this imaginary, this thing that he still wants to believe in, even though he's at the end of his rope. And then later he just gives the case away to the homeless guy. He's like, here, have this dream, I don't need it anymore. There's a lot of stuff like that. But
yes,
I lost my train of thought.
Your train arrived at the station.
Boom, boom.
With no incident. One thing we're not mentioning here that is vital to the understanding of the narrative of Falling Down is Prendergast, because his character is the mirrored opposite of defense. He is the admissible self-assertion.
I have questions on that because I have heard so many times that Pendergast is like.
But you've heard so many times? Who the fuck have you been talking to about this movie?
I talk to people. I have friends. No, but like, I get that he is the protagonist in this movie. But like, what is his character saying in the movie? Is it just like he makes the good decisions? he's making the wise choice.
He's making the correct calls on when it's okay to assert yourself.
Because at the end he yells at his wife and he's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, and he tells his boss to go fuck himself, and he sticks with the job that he likes. But up until that point, he gave those things up, and so did Defense. But Defense didn't accept them. He pretended that he didn't lose them.
Yeah, I mean, Pendergast is contending with the end of his American dream too, except he chooses to be in service of others in that, like, putting his wife's wants, moving to Arizona over his own, like, thinking about kids, his partner. I will say another part that doesn't work as well today is that your protagonist, your like sane voice in the film as a cop, just makes it a little more challenging these days. Maybe in the 90s, if you were a white guy, you're like, yeah, this cop guy, he's a pretty good guy. I'd be like, you don't know all the people Pendergast pulled over back in the day. Where was Pendergast during the Rodney King riots? Like,
I don't know if the movie is necessarily pro cop.
I wasn't saying that. I was just saying that the trouble of having your cop as a protagonist, as the antithesis to your racist antagonist, is a little challenging today. Maybe there was an unintentional critique where, like, maybe where his wife, she like calls the cops twice, and they're like, come on, lady, this guy ain't showing up, we're out of here. Like, there's like just no genuine like care. Maybe that's the critique, is like the system doesn't work for anybody, like, even if people's like intentions are right. Like the lady cop who just rolls up and is like, peace.
Yeah.
Contend with the psycho you married yourself, lady.
Yeah, it's a goofy movie. I don't think do you guys think that it makes it intentionally at any point tries to make Defense look badass?
No, he seems very I didn't think so.
I mean, the conversation that is born from Falling Down is very interesting, and it makes me like the movie more than I did just watching it. But I don't know. I feel like there are times, like, with all of my gripe with the fast food restaurant scene, I feel like there are so many fucking people out there that are like, yeah, the burger doesn't look like the picture. Yeah, fuck it up, bro. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it feels like
fire that Uzi at the ceiling, brother. I'm right there with you.
It's just like, I get it too, but like it's so misplaced. He's trying to be Luigi Mangione, and he ain't that. He ain't that. Go after them.
Well, yeah, he's shooting a building and not a systemic murderer.
Yeah.
Well, what would you guys give it on a scale from 1 to 10?
This one's gonna be a 4 for me.
This one's gonna be a 4 for me.
If I was doing half stars, I'd do 4.5 stars.
Oh, decent to wait, no. Decent to
strong 4. It's a strong 4. It's a strong 4.
I similar to Saltburn, I love the fact that after watching it, I was thinking about it, and I was like, do I like this? Do I not? I don't know. I love the conversation it spurred up between us.
I was not thinking about it. This movie left my consciousness like the moment I like turned it off. I was like, I like wrote my notes. I like wrote my thoughts, and I just like put that in a vault, and I was just like never thought about it until like basically today.
I can understand how Falling Down wouldn't leave an emotional impact on somebody. I mean, for God's sake, you spent almost 90% of the footage on this deplorable racist individual.
I was so uncomfortable watching it. I was so anxious watching it. And I was like, I don't know, good for the 90s. They called incels before incels were a big thing. Like, good for them.
Honestly, I was a little bored. I did find the film a little boring, to be honest with you.
That's the thing. In the middle, it's like, I got it. I understand what's happening. I'm just waiting for what death by suicide by cop.
Do you think his intention was to kill his family.
Yeah, this is another discussion point I see. I think he would have ended up doing it.
Yes. Who cares if it was what he intended to do? When he got there, when he was confronted with reality, he would have been a child and been like, "No, you can't have feelings that are separate from mine." Kill.
Yeah, because it's the fantasy
But
it's like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for him that he's been chasing for hours through the heat. It's like he's gonna get there, and I'm gonna hug my little girl, and
But he
everything's
talks
gonna be
about
hunky
his.
dory.
We are informed about his life insurance policy. We know that if he dies, he will leave behind a large sum of money for his family. Is it
I don't
not?
think
Is it unreasonable to assume that he would have just killed himself or intended to die by cop to support his family? My interpretation of
you
that is
don't
it doesn't
get
matter.
you don't get the life
That's still a
insurance
bad
money if
plan.
you kill yourself.
Okay, well then he would have had to die by cop.
he could also die by cop and not traumatize his daughter and his
Exactly.
ex-wife.
Yeah.
He could have done that at the convenience store and left her alone. So yes, I think he was eventually going to. He was in the fantasy world that she was going to take him back. Everything was going to be peachy clean. His American dream would be back. But you know that what would happen would be murder.
I don't know. I think that he was intended to die suicide by cop. I don't think he intended to kill his family. I think he's still a
At,
shitty person.
at what point do you think he made that decision? Was it at the
He got out of his car at the beginning.
I don't think it was that premeditated. I would say it's the point of no return, which is I guess is
The rocket launcher scene.
well, I was thinking before that even. I was thinking the shop when he
Mm.
kills the Nazi. That's when he changes
Yeah.
his clothes from he stops being the businessman and becomes the militant that he's actually
shooter.
is. Yeah, he's no longer is putting on the facade of the businessman. He chooses to be the militant. I think that's when it changes.
If he was always planning on doing suicide by cop, he would have done it why wouldn't when he killed that Nazi, why wouldn't he have just been like, I'm gonna have a shootout with the cops here
Because he wants to see his daughter for one last time.
and traumatize her by getting killed right in front of her?
He doesn't give a shit. He forced himself on his wife. He just shoves his fucking mouth on hers. He doesn't give a shit about their feelings. He wants to see them.
That's why I'm saying he doesn't give a shit about his feelings. He's not just trying to give them money and be a good dad.
No, he
he's
cares
trying
about their well-being. He just doesn't care about their moment-to-moment feelings. He hugs his daughter. Like if he really just if we're following your line of logic and he really just doesn't care about their feelings at all and he's mad at them, that he would have just capped both of their asses as soon as he showed up instead of forcing himself on his wife and hugging his daughter and
He's
refusing to
not
let her
mad at
go.
them. He's not mad at them. He wants them to play along. He wants
Yeah.
them to be part of the fantasy. And
Well, of
when
course
they
he
don't,
wants that, but I think he knows that they're not. And I think his intention was to let them go and get shot by a cop.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I think so. I think
I
that
feel like
it's
his fantasy was intact, and then he watched that videotape back, being like, "Things were good. I lost my job, and my wife is now leaving me. I can get this back." When he watched back those tapes and saw the problems that were initially there, I think that's when his fantasy bubble was popped a little bit, and he was like, "Fuck no, 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 no,
I
no.
think it was totally popped. I think he's like, wow, that's fuck. Shit. I'm the baddie.
I'm the baddie."
Honestly though, I don't think it really matters.
It's just up to your own personal interpretation.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a faff question.
Regardless of what I rated this movie, I am happy I watched it, and I'm happy we had a discussion about it. It was interesting.
Yes, I'm glad that we watched all these movies. I enjoyed the time I spent with all of them, even though I would assess the quality of them at 4s. If you guys are curious, I gave Falling Down a 7.
That's high praise.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's notable. I think it's a notable movie. I think it's goofy as fuck.
Aren't we going to choose the winner?
It's Lucas.
Oh, well, is it Lucas? No, it's Mitch. Because Lucas gave straight up a 6.
No, he didn't.
No.
Oh, he gave it a 5.
Yeah.
And then
he said
Mitch,
he wishes he could give it.
You gave Saltburn a 5?
I gave Saltburn a 4.
Oh,
Yeah, 5. So I choose Lucas because I liked Saltburn. I think Saltburn's better than for me personally.
So Lucas wins because Saltburn got the highest score.
Well, I choose straight up. So then, what do you choose, Ben? You get to decide if it's Saltburn or straight up as the winner, because we cannot choose our own.
I preferred Saltburn.
Yeah, see, I assumed you would choose Saltburn, and I knew that. Yeah, I wasn't choosing Ben's, so Saltburn. Lucas won.
Why'd you have to say it like that?
Yeah, it wasn't. I didn't like it. It was the least enjoyable of the 3 films I watched. I don't know what to tell you. Granted, I picked one of the films, so I obviously was going to enjoy it.
It was the least emotionally, least likely to form an emotional attachment with. I don't know. It's more of a textbook than a fucking...
Yeah. It felt like I was reading the dictionary. Very informative, but not that interesting.
Well, do we want to reveal what movies we chose for next time, or do we want to keep that a secret?
Yeah, because then our viewers, viewers at home.
You said yes to a question with 2 discrete options, neither of which were yes.
Mitch was saying yes to revealing the fucking answer of
Were you, or were you saying yes to not revealing them?
No, yes to revealing. My rationale.
Context clues.
Oh, you want to reveal them? Okay.
Yes, I would like to reveal them so our dear viewers at home can watch the films if they would like before listening.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that big brain? Isn't that big brain?
They can
a lot of
big brain
at home.
Surface area.
Here's my thing, though.
What's your thing?
My first recommendation was Saltburn with Mr. Kyogen. My second thing is Sacred Deer. The Killing of a Sacred Deer with Mr. Kyogen.
Wait. We're only revealing the ones we're watching next week.
Yeah. Yes. But Lucas is talking about changing his because he feels...
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I am wondering if everybody's vibing with it, do we maybe want to switch things up? Because now I'm worried you're going to be like, this film is just the same as the other film. So they have some similarities. Very anxiety-inducing with Kyogen.
Yeah, you picked 3 thrillers, Lucas. What do you
picked 3
want
of the same
from us?
fucking movie, bro?
I have trauma, Mitch. I'm sorry. I like to experience trauma again.
Okay, 2 of mine are...
Do you?
Gay movies.
Yeah, I do.
2 of my movies are about sexuality. So
okay,
weird. I'm the horniest one here, and none of mine are about sex.
Yeah, yours is all about
mine was
themselves.
distinctly not about sex.
Wait, what?
My film I chose is distinctly not about sex.
Well, okay, all right.
It was so not about sex that it kind of was about sex.
Yeah, exactly. It came back around to being about sex.
It did. It was literally nothing but talking about sex.
It just, yeah. Anyway.
And the lack of it.
The lack thereof.
With Lucas switching his third.
I don't think we should allow that.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay,
that's fine.
Let's just keep it. Let's keep it. No, it's
fine.
fine.
It's fine.
So we will be watching your week 3 pick.
No. Let's keep it and let's just fucking.
Wait,
I'm gonna get railed.
I want to switch.
This whole conversation should be left on the cutting room floor. By the way,
Who's editing this? Who's editing this?
It's Ben. I ain't got time for that shit. This is the guy talking about making PowerPoints and stuff. I'm like, if this Boy Scout wants to do it, that's good with me.
Much love to y'all, because I want to do this, but I feel like such a lazy hoe because I'm not doing anything except talking on it.
You're sitting here talking for
movies.
Yeah, you did.
You committed your time. I have some movies real quick. I'm just
we still haven't told our fucking viewers.
I'm sorry.
For the viewers at home.
Wait. So can I switch mine if Lucas is switching his?
We're not switching. We discussed this.
No, let's switch. Let's switch. No, let's switch.
I'm okay if you both want to switch. I'm okay with you both. Switching.
Are we switching as in our week 3 becomes our week 2 and our week 2 becomes week 3?
Yeah.
Then I'm okay with that.
Okay. Well, so why don't we all announce what film we have chosen for the next time?
Okay. For the lovely editor, 3, 2, 1.
That's not necessary.
Ben, yeah, it's okay.
I'm not cutting any of that.
Oh, really?
No, we talked for way too long, Ben. You
I
gotta.
don't give two
You
fucks.
gotta cut that.
You-
I'm
gotta
editing
cut
it. I get to make that decision.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
What movies are we
no one-
watching next
no,
week?
no. Next week, I have chosen The Sound of Metal.
Ooh, that'll be interesting.
Isn't that
And-
directed by Dylan Cianfranc or whatever his name is?
I don't know. I haven't done the research yet, Ben. That's for next week.
Next week for me, we will be watching Suspiria 2018, specifically the 2018 version.
We will. Well, Mitch and I will.
I will too. This
Oh,
time.
will you? Oh, will
This
you?
time. I love that movie.
All right. And my pick for next week is Kelly Reichardt's First Cow.
So
Cool.
say that for everyone one more time, just in case the viewers at home need to write it down.
No, they got it. They can rewind if they want. Is Sound of Metal sad?
No. Yes.
It's gonna be fucking
maybe.
sad, isn't it? You're making first. You recommend
dude,
this.
If you wait.
Ben, what are you doing? The cow?
First Cow by Kelly Reichardt.
Okay, now real talk.
All right.
When did we start this?
I'm cutting my.
Wait. Before we cut, let's say goodbye to our viewers. Thank you for listening to our fucking thing that we just did. If you listened to it,
If you made it to the
this
end,
far.
God damn, we're proud of you.
I appreciate this. We're new. Give us some grace, y'all. We're gonna get better about not speaking over each other and having a good time.
No. Speaking over each other is good.
Yeah, but
All
there's
right,
a
I'm
certain
cutting my
level of it.
recording like in 3,
Yeah.
2, 1.
Goodbye.
Thank you. Okay, let me ask a question to y'all. Is my camera so much better?
It's so much better.